What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Welcome in to another episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt. And we're back after our third consecutive 2-1 day. So the East Carolina bet was the bad bet of the day. They scored 41 points. That could have been survived, but Tulsa scored 27, so that killed the bet. The Bengals outright. Did you bet money line? Told you last night. That was the play of the day. That was the good bet of the day. Bengals plus 5.5. Outright winners on Thursday night against Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. Another game in which a home dog in the NFL. Mark that down for the trends into Sunday. And then the Dodgers on the run line. They're up 3-0 on the Brewers. So we win back the unit that we had bet on the Brewers for the future that's going to be dead as of tonight, because I do think a sweep is coming for the Dodgers. 2-1, the night up 1 unit for us here for today. I've got 2 college football bets for Friday and 1 Major League Baseball bet before we wrap for Friday. We lost on Monday. We won on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday. Let's see what Friday can bring to us. This podcast is being brought to you by our friends at Hard Rock Bet. Check out Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app this week, and if you haven't yet, you can see trending picks, the most bets for upsets, and so much more. Follow the money and see the breakdown for all games all week long. Tomorrow's college football slate is loaded with 5 ranked matchups coming up on Saturday. Get in on the action when sign up with Hard Rock Bet today. If your first $5 bet wins, you'll score $150 in bonus bets on top of your winnings. Download Hard Rock Bet now. Plus, today and tomorrow, Hard Rock Bet, you guys can get a college football parlay boost for the games. Boost your same game parlay or your SGP max so your bet pays extra winnings. Here's the new promos. There are new promos every day, so if you're listening to this later on, just jump on the app and check out what you've got any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. All right, let's start talking about, well, there's 2 games to get into. We can start with Nebraska and Minnesota. Here is what I am doing for both games tonight, both Louisville and Miami and Nebraska and Minnesota. I am buying the hook, okay? I am buying it off of a solid number, and I'm betting it up to a solid number. We'll start with Nebraska against Minnesota. So the line's 7. I'm going to buy it down. It's only about 5 cents. I got it at minus 120, so it's not expensive. I'm going from 7 to 6.5. The books generally don't mind you doing that. Really, they care about buying from 3.5 to 3 or 2.5 up to 3. That's the most expensive move in the sports book to do that. Normally, it's about 15 cents to do that. This is 5 cents to do that. So it goes from, I guess it's 10 cents. It goes from minus 110 to minus 120. So this is a 10 cents cost of mine, but I think it's worthwhile. We bet money line baseball all the time. I think it's worth it to avoid getting hooked and to get into a winning situation. You only pay the juice if you lose. Nebraska should have a gigantic advantage in both the offensive and defensive lines coming up here tonight. Nebraska showed me something. I took Maryland last week, catching 7 at home. Nebraska stormed back. They won the game. They didn't cover. So here's Nebraska again on the road, again laying a pretty big number, but a much more inferior team offensively in Minnesota. I don't think they can run the football in Nebraska. I don't think, as long as the Huskers keep track of the football, I don't think man-to-man, hat-to-hat, I don't think Minnesota is as talented as Nebraska. Now, PJ Fleck is 6-1 against Nebraska in his career. He has been dominant, but he has had much better teams at Minnesota than this one. If they're banking on Matt Perrault and the Penn State job being the major distraction that stops the Huskers from walking into Minneapolis and winning the game, I think you're going to be really mistaken, because I think on a short week, all this does is galvanize the team, right? Even if Matt Perrault were to take Penn State, Matt Perrault is not taking the Penn State job in October. He's not going to do that to Nebraska. He'll be in violation of his contract, and he has integrity and he has a relationship with these kids. It's not how the guy operates, okay? He very well might take the Penn State job, but I don't think that's going to be a distraction. I think on a short week, I think it galvanizes the team. Huskers are coming off that trip to Maryland. They're coming right back onto another road trip up to Minnesota, but I just think talent v. talent, quarterback to quarterback, offensive line to defensive line, and defensive line to offensive line, The Huskers have a big advantage at the line of scrimmage. I think they run the ball effectively. I don't think the game is high scoring, and it does go under. But I do think Nebraska is going to win by 7 or more, but it could be 7. So I'm going to buy it from 7 down to 6.5 at -120. You can pay all the way up to -130. Okay, I don't mind you if you got to pay, depending on your book, what book you use. If you got to, pay a little extra to get under 7, I think it's worth it to take the Huskers at -6.5 at -120 for 1.1 units. Second bet is very similar, but I am going to buy it up from 13.5 up to 14 for Louisville and Miami. Here's the interesting thing about this game. Both these teams are coming off of byes. And I think this is going to be a tougher game than people think. Miami will win, okay? They'll win their 12th straight home game. But normally the games against Louisville are high scoring and tight. And I think this is going to be no different. I think it's going to be high scoring and it's going to be tight. Miami's offense hasn't been clicking as well as you would like. Carson Beck threw for 4 touchdown touches last week. I get that. But I think the offense is going to be, they're 7th in the ACC in scoring at the moment for Miami, okay? They've been great defensively. They've been good in special teams, but they haven't been scoring 50 points a game, okay? So I think against Louisville, they will be able to score, but can they score to win the game by 17 points, by 15, 16, or 17 points, more than 2 touchdowns? I don't know. I feel like Louisville's got a good enough defense to keep them in the football game, and I think Jeff Brom is a good enough play caller that with 2 weeks to prep for Miami, even when it's being on Friday, both these teams are on a bye last week. So you have a chance to really take a look at this defense for Miami and try to find a hole in there or two that you can go and exploit. I think the passing attack for Louisville is good. I think it's good enough. I think they'll be able to move the ball. I think Miller Moss, even though he doesn't run all that much, has weapons to throw to. I don't think it's going to be a mismatch in the personnel department here. Miami's more talented, but I do think Louisville's passing attack is going to be able to move the football. I don't think they'll run very much against Miami, but I'm not sure they really need to run all that much, given the weapons they have to throw to here. And Miller Moss is completing about 67% of his passes, 7-4 touchdown to pick ratio. Now, it's not nearly as good as what Carson Beck is doing, and the offensive line for Miami is tremendous, and they may be able to just road grade here, but it's a Friday night. It's a nationally televised game. Everyone's going to be watching, and frankly, Louisville's been playing really well. I mean, Louisville is a team that I know everyone's like, oh, they're 13.5 point favorite, they're 14.5 point dogs. Okay, but they went as a favorite at home to Louisville, and they lost that game, but that was after they won at Pitt. Laying 3, they won by 7. I mean, Louisville's 4-1. Last time out, overtime loss to Virginia, then the bye week, and now here to Miami. Miami beat Florida State on the road. The South Florida, and Florida State run's been pretty impressive. 3 straight wins, 3 straight covers for Miami, and the win over Notre Dame at home in the opener. Really, that's why this team is ranked as highly as they are. I mean, they are very good on Mario Cristobal. This has been a very successful season so far for Miami. But I think it's a 10-point win. I think Louisville keeps it close. I think Louisville makes it entertaining, and I'll buy it up to 14 just in case I don't get, I don't want to get hooked on this and have it be fall 13. I want this, if it falls 14, to get a push out of it, but I think there's a halfway decent shot. This is a 10, 11, 12-point win here for Miami. I'll take Louisville. Give me the points. Louisville plus 14, buy it up off 13.5 to 14 at -120 for 1.2 units. Guys, you want to win this Ricky Pearsall jersey? It's available from our friends at pristineauction.com. All you have to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and comment on this video, and you will be entered. We will pull the name coming up in the beginning of November, so we are running out of days in October to do so. So if you've not subscribed, do so now. Leave a comment in this beautiful Ricky Pearsall 49ers jersey signed by Ricky Pearsall could be yours thanks to our friends at pristineauction.com. Finally, I think it ends tonight. I'm going to keep trying to make some money back for us off that 1 unit play on the Brewers. The Dodgers on the run line came in last night 3-1. I think the Dodgers on the run line comes in again. It is Shohei Ohtani pitching for the Dodgers. Look, I feel badly because I really wished this series could have gone differently for the Brewers. They just haven't scored. They've scored 3 runs in 3 games. Okay. It's just the Dodgers aren't knocking the cover off the ball, but the Dodgers are scoring and they're scoring enough. And I just think this is the same bet as yesterday. Okay. We don't know who Milwaukee is going to start again. Okay. It's a game 4, just like, through Ashby, and then they threw Mizorowski for most of it and he pitched great, but it's all hands on deck. It's an elimination game, but Ohtani is going. I mean, Shohei Ohtani pitching in this game is basically unfair. Okay. It's basically unfair to have a pitcher of his caliber, a Cy Young Award winning caliber guy on the mound. The only thing to do is to bet the run line on this. Okay. The total is up to 8 now because of the runs that are expected to be scoring, because there's no arms left for Milwaukee, and maybe Milwaukee scores a little bit off the bullpen late for the Dodgers, but it's plus money. It's the same bet as yesterday. It's just this lineup is relentless. The Dodgers are inevitable. Dodgers on the run line at plus 110. All right, so 3 plays for us here on Friday. Plus 14 at minus 120 for Louisville. Minus 6.5 at minus 120 for Nebraska. And the Dodgers on the run line at plus 110 for 1 unit. Quick programming note for you guys. I will be going to Disneyland on Friday night to Saturday. I'm taking my daughter over there for their Halloween celebration as a reward for her getting straight A's in first quarter of school. So I'm jumping in the car. I'm driving. I'm going to tape the podcast before I leave and then look to post the podcast once I get to where I am going. If I don't have time to tape the podcast before I leave, I may tape the podcast when I'm into LA, into Anaheim. I'll tape it there and then post it, and hopefully the internet works well and everything kind of checks out to be able to post it. So that's the hope for everything. And then Saturday I'll come back late. The podcast on Saturday night will post pretty late because we'll be back probably around midnight or so from Anaheim. So I'll post the podcast after I get home after that. So just a heads up on that. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, but I am traveling a little bit here on Friday and Saturday. The Discord channel chat will happen at 8 o'clock in the morning from Anaheim. It'll just be a quick one. It'll be 15, 20 minutes. Check in with you guys on Saturday for any line move or what's going on while I'm over getting ready to go into the park with my daughter for Disneyland. So that is what's going on for us on this weekend. But here on a Friday, let's hopefully have a good Friday and keep the winning streak alive. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all my socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning, wherever you guys get your podcasts. It is the Daily Juice.